Good morning, San Francisco. I'm Tammy Healy, and I lead a team of worldwide customer programs and enablement folks at AWS Marketplace. I'm here today with my partner, Kanchan Weicker, who will be joining me on the stage in a few minutes. But until then, I want to talk to you a little bit about how my team and Kanchan's team, we talk with customers just like you every single day. Small, medium businesses, startups, ISVs, global, very large enterprise customers, and how that you all get value out of AWS Marketplace. Things like reduced time to market, cost savings, procurement or other operational gains. And all of this can be done through AWS Marketplace. So let's get started. So organizations of every shape and size really need to consider innovation as part of their DNA to continuously remain ahead of their competition. And I don't mean by just funding one or two R&D projects, but we mean really training and enabling your folks to really take advantage of the tools that they have, the best tools in the industry, to really unlock their potential and help you innovate on behalf of your customers. Now, we're seeing this happen in every single industry, across every single business segment, where we're seeing AWS helping our customers innovate and transform all these customer types globally. And in order for us to even help grow and help our customers innovate even faster, consider all of the partner solutions that we can offer as well. In financial services, Capital One has completely transformed the way that they operate. And in healthcare life sciences, Moderna has been accelerating the pace in which they're able to innovate their discovery and development of vaccines and other drugs, because they're utilizing scalable compute environments that are only available to them through the cloud. In retail, Petco has moved to a microservices architecture, which has enabled them to innovate and reinvent on behalf of their customers, allowing folks and pet parents like me get the supplies I need more rapidly and efficiently. In the supply chain space, Siemens has transformed the way they monitor and meter more than 200 utility companies by utilizing the cloud. And more than 6,500 public sector partners, including the US federal government and the UK Ministry of Justice, are using AWS to transform the way they work every day. And you don't have to just believe me. I would say that most industry analysts would agree. On top of some of the customers I've just mentioned, IDC estimates that 75% of all organizations will be undertaking some sort of digital transformation project in the coming years. And Gartner predicts that over 14% of IT spend will occur in the cloud in 2024, which is up over 9% since 2020. Now, AWS Marketplace is a result of AWS trying to solve for these problems, how to help our customers envision and innovate faster. So, over the last 10 years, we've seen customers leverage the marketplace to subscribe to, deploy, and govern their third-party software, data, and professional services spend. The data we provide a very rich catalog of data software that you will know and you have seen every single day. You're probably utilizing most of it today on premise, and most of that is available on the cloud. The selection continues to grow every day. And when you identify a vendor or a software or data provider that you are not seeing in the catalog, by all means, we welcome you to come back to us and let us know so we can make sure we rapidly address that and bring it onto the platform. We at AWS Marketplace, we've also been able to help make transactions of procurement much, much simpler by one click on a single console. So you're able to utilize exactly what you see. For example, if you're looking up a particular third-party software provider, you're in the platform, you click there, you're not going to be thrown out to another website external to AWS. Everything will be consolidated and you will be billed on one single invoice for Marketplace through AWS. Further, we're able to help you enhance your governance control, and my partner Kanchan is going to be talking a lot more about that shortly. As time went on, we also recognized that all of our customers are seeking the services of consulting partners or other type of professional services organizations to help sure that the investments that they're making and their third-party software and data is truly getting realized, and to make sure that it's being implemented correctly. That too can be procured through AWS Marketplace. And finally, one of the things that's most important, we hear all the time from our customers, is about how do we help all of you optimize your spend. Now, obviously, doing transactions in the cloud, we now are able to look at different types of payment processes. It could be by minute, by hour, or the other thing we can look at the other end of the spectrum is when you're making larger commitments to AWS in advance, you have your enterprise discount program, which can also be taken care of and taken advantage of by utilizing AWS Marketplace. So let's talk a little bit more about those purchasing models. So bring your own license. I mean, this is when you have an on-prem license, you already own that software from your other vendors. You have the ability in many cases to bring that exact licensing over into the AWS Marketplace. We also have the ability to have free trials for our software and data providers. So you are able to just procure those through one click through the AWS Marketplace console. As I mentioned already, you have the ability with some of our software providers and data providers to get billing on a second or an hour type of method. We also allow for annual and multi-year contracts. So if you know that you're in this for the long term and that you're going to be purchasing a product that's going to be the foundational for your future transformation projects, you can now make that investment right through Marketplace with one time. And then that also, again, builds into that EDP burn down for those of you who have an EDP in place. And then finally, private offers. So private offers is the ability for you, our customers, and our partners to make a specific contractual agreement that is engaging both the terms and agreements that are important to both you and your partner in this transaction. So it doesn't always have to be that one click. Just what you see on the Marketplace console is, you can go to that one step beyond and make those contractual agreements outside and then transact through private offer. So let's talk a little bit about how these transactions, these different types of transactions, are really bringing you, our customer, faster time to value. So we already talked about the transactional catalog, but let's talk a little bit more about the private offers. So we talked about that, but there's a different version of private offers. So as we, when Marketplace first came on board, and we're going to talk a little bit more about our history in a second, we really were focusing on just the third-party software being transacted through the platform. But as we learned, our customers had typically been working with third-party service providers or managed service providers or channel partners. And we had to really make sure that we provided an environment where our customers can transact in the way that they were most familiar and comfortable. So that's how CPPO came to be, Consulting Partner Private Offers. So if you have been utilizing one in your history, or that's what you're using today, there are opportunities to transact in that same exact way today and still consider those cost optimization burn downs with EDP as well. And the final thing I want to talk about is standardized licensing terms. This is actually something that my team is responsible for. So standardized licensing terms are a contract that you can choose contract terms as your standard EULA. So as a customer, you can say, these are the terms that I feel I want all of my vendors to agree upon. It's a click-through option when you're purchasing. And at some point in the future, when you're looking at renewals, or perhaps you're looking to add additional software or data providers into your environment, you can also recommend that they use those standardized licensing terms. That will make it easier for you to shorten the time between review and approval of contracts. Again, talking back to my first point in my opener about operational efficiencies. Okay, let's talk a little bit about AWS Marketplace and our decade of innovation. I'm super proud to announce that we're actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary this week, so this is pretty exciting. So when we look back in 2012, AWS Marketplace was actually the very first infrastructure provider to ever offer a marketplace such as this. So that is really exciting for us, as I just mentioned. So in 2014 rather, this is when we actually added the ability for annual software subscriptions. So instead of just one-offs, we actually now provide an opportunity for our ISVs to make longer-term commitments and subscriptions with our customers. In 2015, we added the service catalog and CloudFormation support, which Kanchan will be talking to us a little bit more so in a few moments. In 2016, we launched the ability for metering. So this is where we are now able to do that time-based billing, which wasn't available previously. So that was for AMIs, and we also added this for SaaS. Private offers was introduced in 2017. And in 2018, this is where we really started to see some additional motion. We've got the ability now to transact for containers and machine learning, which again, Kanchan's going to talk to in a little bit greater detail in a moment. And then we introduced a consulting partner private offers. So you see, it took a little bit of time for us to catch up to the way that our customers really wanted to transact, but it's been flying very strongly since then. In 2019, we really started hearing a lot from our customers that in addition to procuring their software through third-party software through the marketplace, they were really looking for an opportunity to also start transacting their data in a similar manner. And that's when we launched AWS Data Exchange. So now you're able to transact your third-party data as well and have it drop right into your S3 buckets. Kanchan, again, will be talking about that in more detail. We also had launched the ability to do some procurement system integrations with some of the more popular procurement systems in place today, Ariba and Coupa. I'm sorry, I just lost the screen there for a second. Okay, and then finally, well, almost finally, in 2018, this is when we launched professional services. So this is where our consulting partners are now able to put their consulting partner offerings. They could put pilots, they could do a variety of options up on the marketplace. And we also introduced managed entitlements. And then finally, in 2021 reInvent, we learned about how Marketplace is now going to be able to provide ADX for APIs, AWS Marketplace for containers anywhere, and ADX for Amazon Redshift and AWS IQ, which is an extension of the professional services offerings. So as you could tell, we've had a decade of incredible innovation that are really serving our customers well. We have today in our marketplace over 2,000 sellers and over 1,000 consulting partners and over 250 data providers. Our software listings are plentiful with over 12,000 and our data products over 3,000. But what's really interesting is we have over 325,000 subscribers to those data products and over 2 million active subscriptions. In 2021, AWS partners sold billions of dollars of products and services through AWS Marketplace. And these are some of them. We really have a very rich selection of the types of partners that you would expect to see across a multitude of different categories. As you can see in security, with storage, networking, database, our data providers are on here as well. And we also focus in on industries. So if there's industry specific software providers or data providers that are moving the needle in the market today, we are seeking, if we don't already have them, we're seeking to get them on the platform. And so, just going back, how do we start working here at Marketplace? In the beginning, we really were working and focused most closely with the builders, These are the folks who are in the trenches building out the innovation for our customers within our customer base, as well as the IT organizations. This is where we really saw folks taking advantage, maybe a little opportunistically, of the ability to just point, click, and get the download of their software and data very rapidly and help them with that time to market. But as we started to grow and as the enterprise started to really understand that the value of what they were seeing and being able to get that data and those software products uploaded and fully functioning in such a short period of time, we got the eye of the CIO and also those line of business leaders who are typically responsible for the actual procurement and approval processes for those types of purchases. But as we all know, security is always job number one. So the CISO suite is an area that we at AWS Marketplace are really seeing a lot of energy. We meet with these folks all the time to talk about what are the best practices in order to use AWS, as well as our third-party services, partners, and partner offerings and data. But now this is an area where my team is specifically growing, and that's with making the purchase of software, products, and data through Marketplace operational at scale, right? So as we were doing one-point clicks, et cetera, now we're really looking to talk to our procurement suite, our legal, and our finance teams who really aren't familiar with AWS. They don't typically work in an AWS console, but the fact that most of this data and software are being purchased and is part of the AWS ecosystem environment, then we need to make sure that they understand how we can help them accelerate their processes and really help adapt to their workflows in a very individualized manner, but also so that they can really reap the benefits of that cost optimization at scale. And then finally, the Chief Data Officer, as you saw with the ADX introduction, this has really been a key influencer on how our enterprise customers are really engaging with the AWS Marketplace. Data is so voluminous. We all know this. It's growing every day. And the purchasing of this data is expensive and sometimes duplicative within their organizations. We're helping these chief data officers break down those walls and get to, again, speed to market and true value. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Kanchan.
Thank you, Tammy. Hey everyone, good morning. My name is Kanchan Vaikar, and I'm a Principal Solutions Architect from AWS Marketplace team. And I'm super excited to be here today. As a Solutions Architect, I get to talk to different types of customers, cutting-edge startups, small, mid-sized, really large enterprises. All of them are really interested in doing one thing, which is to innovate, to reinvent themselves, establish themselves as thought leaders, to build features which are really differentiating, meaningful, and provide value for their business. And as an organization who's trying to innovate, it always starts with a customer problem. There are always some problems that these organizations are working on. For example, as a retail shop, you might be working on a problem such as identifying where to exactly open your next shop. And that's where innovation comes into picture. Solving such problem requires a lot of data. You need to identify a lot of data that you already have in your organization and also identify what other data you're going to need. And that's where AWS Data Exchange comes into picture. With AWS Data Exchange, you're able to find really large third-party data sets that you're able to use in order to innovate on behalf of your customers. AWS Data Exchange provides over 3,000 data sets which our customers are using. These data sets are delivered directly into your AWS account. What that means is you don't have to transfer any data from outside and bring it into your AWS environment. The data gets delivered directly into your AWS environment. With AWS Data Exchange, you're doing billing through your AWS bill, which means you're centralizing spend on third-party data as well via your AWS account. Apart from that, AWS Data Exchange contains a really large selection from our category leaders for individual industries as well as verticals such as pharmaceutical, finance, healthcare, retail, and so on and so forth. AWS Data Exchange makes it really easy for you to find, subscribe, evaluate, and use third-party data in AWS Cloud. AWS Data Exchange also makes it easier for data providers to streamline their data delivery to their customers. AWS Data Exchange offers three types of data delivery method. One is Amazon S3, which is the right delivery method when you want the data to be delivered in form of a file. Amazon Redshift, which is the data delivery method which you would use if you want structured data to be delivered directly into your cloud data warehouse such as Amazon Redshift. And AWS Data Exchange for APIs, which is the data delivery mechanism that you would use in order to directly integrate third-party data or machine learning APIs as part of your applications. Now let me tell you a little bit more about each of these data delivery mechanisms. AWS Data Exchange launched back in 2019, like Tammy mentioned, with Amazon S3 as the delivery method. We heard from a lot of our customers that they were interested in consuming third-party data in form of files. And that's why AWS Data Exchange launched with Amazon S3 as the data delivery method. With Amazon S3, the data is getting delivered directly into your S3 bucket. You go ahead, you open AWS Data Exchange or AWS Marketplace, you look at the listing that you are interested in, which might be a free listing or a paid listing. You look at the data and then you decide whether you want to subscribe. You subscribe to the data set, and then once the entitlement exists, you're able to export the data directly into your S3 bucket. So that works really well for historical data, right? But what if you're looking for future data sets as well, right? Like there could be future revisions of the same data. Well, Amazon S3 delivery method takes care of that as well. AWS Data Exchange has a feature to set up automatic exports of future revisions, which means as soon as the data provider releases a new version of the data or maybe a new, more latest and recent data, you're able to set up automatic export in a forget and set manner so that the data automatically lands into your S3 bucket as soon as the data provider puts a new copy. So you can see how Amazon S3 is really the right data delivery method if you're looking for unstructured data, semi-structured data, or structured data that you want to consume in form of a file. Maybe you have data pipelines which prefer reading files directly from S3, and that's why you want to go for Amazon S3 as a data delivery method even for your structured data set. At reInvent 2021, we launched Amazon Redshift as a data delivery mechanism as well, which means the data is going to get delivered directly into your Redshift data cluster. So how does that work, right? So this is literally how it works. You have a data provider who creates a Redshift data share, and they list that Redshift data share inside AWS Data Exchange as a data set. And once they have listed that, you go ahead, you subscribe to that particular product, and then you create a database from that Redshift data share. Once you've created a database and associated with your existing Redshift cluster, you're able to instantly query that data directly without having to do any ETL, which means you're able to get access to structured data that data provider has provided directly inside your cloud data warehouse such as Amazon Redshift without having to do any extract transform load. You don't have to set up any sort of data pipelines just to load that data into your Amazon Redshift cluster. So this is really the right data delivery method if you're looking for structured data from your data provider. You can really consume it with Amazon Redshift as the data delivery method. Amazon Redshift data shares are actually read-only, which means that you are getting read-only access to the copy of data that the data provider is updating, which means as soon as the data provider updates the data, you're going to be able to see those updates directly inside your Redshift cluster without having to do anything, which is pretty powerful. The third data delivery method that was launched at reInvent 2021 is AWS Data Exchange for APIs. Let's say that you don't need historical data. All you need is maybe small chunks of data based on a dynamic request, right? Maybe you have an application which is accepting an input parameter from your customer at runtime, and you want data corresponding to that. Or even maybe you need a response of an ML API, not just data API. Maybe you want response of an ML API, third-party ML API, directly as part of your application. Well, this is where AWS Data Exchange for APIs work really well. You are able to use AWS IAM, and you're able to govern usage of these APIs as well. You're also able to use AWS SDKs in order to directly integrate these APIs as part of your application. So that really shows how you're able to use these 3 different delivery methods in order to consume the third-party data directly as part of your AWS account. After realizing all these benefits as well as data delivery methods, a lot of our customers have started consuming AWS Data Exchange data sets as part of their production implementation. There are pharmaceutical companies that are using third-party data from AWS Data Exchange in order to invent a new drug. There are also customers who are using this data. There are retail customers who are using this data in order to do demand forecasting, capacity planning, workforce planning. There are also restaurants who are using data from AWS Data Exchange in order to decide exactly where to open their next restaurant. And then there are customers who are going all in on AWS Data Exchange. For example, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs decided to streamline their third-party data procurement through AWS Data Exchange. And by doing this, by taking this approach, our customers are able to focus on things that matter the most to them, which is actual business, actual code that they are running in order to support their business, instead of having to worry about third-party data procurement as well as operationalizing third-party data procurement as well as building pipelines and so on and so forth. I'm going to highly recommend you to try out AWS Data Exchange. Definitely go there, see if there is any data that you can use in order to solve your business problem. Is there a data set that jumps out to you? Is there like a free version of the data set available as well? You can actually try that data set. You can actually look at the sample. You can see how to use AWS services such as Glue Data Brew in order to visually prepare the data. Maybe you could also catalog the data with Amazon Glue. You can run ad hoc queries with Amazon Athena and see if that data really works for you. And if it does, definitely you can explore private offers like Tammy mentioned in order to procure the full version of the data set as well. So that's the URL where you can find the self-service workshop, which shows you how AWS Data Exchange seamlessly integrates with AWS Analytics services as well as other AWS services surrounding this particular service. So great. So we spoke about wanting some actionable insights, right? Like you are doing all of this because you want to innovate on behalf of your customer. You're trying to solve a problem that really makes sense for your customer. So what else can you do, right? Like you're going to actually take this third-party data, you're going to join that third-party data with your own data, and you're going to identify what sorts of insights can you generate from the same. Well, you could also train machine learning models, right? But what if you don't have in-house skill set required for training machine learning models? In order to solve that problem, AWS Marketplace team launched AWS Marketplace for Machine Learning in 2018 at reInvent. AWS Marketplace for Machine Learning contains third-party machine learning models as well as algorithms. So there are pre-trained machine learning models as well as algorithms that you can use in order to train or use third-party ML models as part of your application workflow. So what is a pre-trained machine learning model? Think of a machine learning model as an entity that accepts some sort of an input and it returns some sort of a prediction. For example, there is a machine learning model that accepts a bank statement and it returns you a credit score. So you can see how customers such as maybe banks or financial institutions might be interested in pre-trained machine learning models such as that. So why are customers consuming these pre-trained machine learning models through AWS Marketplace? Why can't they just go, they can find out these open source machine learning models and use them directly? Well, it's really because of security. AWS Marketplace for machine learning offers additional security measures in order to ensure that these third-party machine learning models are running in a very secure manner as part of your AWS account, which literally means the third-party machine learning model is running in form of a Docker container inside your AWS account under the security posture that you are defining. And this container does not have internet access, which means data is going to stay in your AWS account. And this is extremely important for our customers. They want to run these third-party machine learning models, but they want to run it in a secure manner, in a network isolated manner. And that's what Amazon SageMaker provides. With Amazon SageMaker, our customers are running these third-party machine learning models from AWS Marketplace inside their own AWS account. They are configuring a VPC flow log so that they are able to monitor what's going into the ML model, what's coming out of the ML model. They're also using a VPC endpoints as well as some other security measures in order to tighten the security around these machine learning models. So what's in it for the machine learning vendors, right? Like clearly, this is a great idea for customers, but what about vendors? Well, these machine learning models are getting deployed inside the customer environment, but in a managed manner, which means the customer does not have direct access to the container, which means the customer is not able to open up that container and see what's running inside, which means the machine learning vendor is actually getting IP protection. Because of these two reasons, our customers as well as machine learning vendors really love using AWS Marketplace as a fulfillment mechanism for the machine learning model delivery. So here is how the overall workflow works. So if you are interested in training a custom machine learning model, you're going to choose an algorithm from AWS Marketplace. You'll bring your own data, and then you're going to train a custom machine learning model. If you're interested in directly using the functionality, well, you would look for a pre-trained machine learning model and subscribe to the same. Once you have subscribed to the model or the algorithm, you are ready to deploy. If you chose an algorithm, you would train a custom ML model using your own data while specifying your own hyperparameter values. You'll be using Amazon SageMaker under the hood in order to do the training, and your custom ML model will be ready. If you directly chose a pre-trained machine learning model, you're going to be able to directly deploy it, and you're going to be able to perform real-time as well as batch inference on top of this machine learning model directly. And these are the benefits, right? Like sellers are not able to export any sort of data from customer account. Data is going to stay in customer's account. Customers are not going to be able to infringe upon the IP, and the billing as well as metering is going to go through your AWS bill, which means you're centralizing spend even for your data as well as machine learning models through AWS Marketplace and through your AWS bill. And this is really helping out our customers. Our customers are able to do POCs, and they are able to evaluate third-party machine learning models faster. They're also able to productionize these machine learning models because they are using Amazon SageMaker, which is a service which AWS customers use in order to build, train, and deploy machine learning models at scale. After realizing all of these benefits, our customers are really using these machine learning models in order to innovate. And let me tell you a story of a customer who is actually using machine learning models in order to enable automation of their credit loan process. Permanent TSB or PTSB is a bank from Ireland which was interested in automating the credit loan approval process for their digital channel, which literally means that they wanted to automate the loan approval process for those customers who are purely using their website and other digital channels. So Experian explored affordability checks products from, Permanent TSB PTSB Bank explored affordability checks product from Experian, which consisted of 2 or 3 machine learning models. They deployed these machine learning models in production, and now Permanent TSB is using these ML models as part of their digital channel workflow. With this whole approach, Permanent TSB was able to get up to 5% uplift in their high value loan approval process, which is pretty high. So we spoke about using data for innovating. We spoke about using machine learning models for innovating. What if you need additional support? Maybe you need a model to be customized. Maybe you need additional support for implementing it, migrating it, or some other use cases. Or maybe you need all of that support, not for a machine learning model, but maybe for a third-party product. That's where AWS Marketplace for professional services come into picture. With AWS Marketplace for professional services, you're able to use the professional services from some of your favorite vendors and ensure that the spend is going through your AWS bill. And that really helps you centralize your spend not only for data, ML models, third-party software products, armies, SaaS products, but also for the professional services that you use from some of the professional services vendors. And you're also able to customize pricing, you're able to customize payment schedule and terms, as well as simplify and accelerate your overall procurement process. So we spoke about data, ML, we spoke about professional services. Now let's talk a little bit more about your machine learning model training journey, right? So typically, whenever you're training a ML model, you would be interested in solving a problem that corresponds to your customer. And 85% of the machine learning problems are supervised learning type of problems, which require you to bring label data set. Your time is too valuable to spend on data labeling, and that's where data labeling services come into picture. In AWS Marketplace, there are several vendors who offer data labeling services, which means you're able to even procure data labeling services via AWS Marketplace and make data labeling much faster and probably much cheaper as well. So you got this data, you labeled it. The next step is typically to transform it into the format that is ready for your machine learning model training. And that's where data analytics tools comes into picture. AWS has a large selection of services that you can use in order to prepare and transform the data. But apart from that, there are also a large selection of partners in AWS Marketplace who have data analytics and transformation tools. You can use these tools in order to visualize data, in order to transform data, and in order to convert that data into the format that's ready for machine learning model training. And then for your end-to-end data journey, there are also products that you can use. For example, there is H209 Databricks, which you can use in order to go from taking the data, transforming it, analyzing it, all the way up to training and deploying machine learning models. And of course, there is AWS Amazon SageMaker, which you can use along with third-party algorithms in order to train custom machine learning model for those niche use cases. So that really shows how AWS Marketplace is really assisting you on your innovation journey via products, data, ML models, as well as different services. Apart from that, there are other data delivery mechanisms as well. There is AWS Marketplace for containers, which means you are able to find products that you can deploy onto containers on AWS. You can deploy these on Amazon EKS, ECS, Amazon AWS Fargate. Apart from that, last year we launched AWS Marketplace for Containers Anywhere, which means you're also able to deploy these container products on Amazon EKS Anywhere, Red Hat OpenShift, VMware Tanzu, as well as Rancher, and others. So I covered a whole bunch of data delivery mechanisms, machine learning model delivery mechanisms, software delivery mechanisms, services delivery mechanisms. Now let me talk a little bit more about the governance features. Well, with AWS Marketplace, you get a whole lot of features that you can use in order to manage, govern your spend, as well as the deployment of third-party products and services on AWS. You can use AWS IAM in order to control who is able to subscribe to these products. You can use private marketplace in order to control which products can be subscribed to. You can use managed entitlements in order to distribute the subscription or the entitlement to your products across the whole AWS organization. And there is also procurement systems integration, which means you can use Ariba or Coupa and you can procure your products from AWS Marketplace directly from your Coupa or Ariba implementation and you can set up your own workflows around approvals as well as budgeting. So that really covers some of the features that I wanted to talk to you about. There is a whole lot more, but due to time constraints, I couldn't really cover much. But I would highly recommend you to check out AWS Marketplace website, where you'll be able to find our really large selection, as well as you'll be able to find some of these features that you can use in order to manage and govern your AWS Marketplace. And that really covers the section that I wanted to cover. I'm going to hand this back over to Tammy now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanchan. So as Kanchan has shared, lots of really great features and functions that you can receive through utilization of AWS Marketplace. And as shown here, our customer, Software AG, has stated that they have realized massive cost savings up to 50%. Up to 50% compared to their classic procurement model. I don't know about you, but a 50% savings through this kind of process is absolutely astonishing, and I'm sure any sort of customer would really appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do next in order to really figure out how AWS Marketplace can bring you your value specific to your environment and your processes. So first, I truly encourage you to visit the catalog and check out the number of different software providers and data providers that may already be existing in your environment, and perhaps we can do some sort of trials there. I encourage you to engage your stakeholders, whether that be within IT, procurement, some of your key builders who are really innovating and really trying new things. Let's see if there's a path forward for them to try out something that's on the marketplace today, and see if you can benchmark some of the savings in terms of productivity or in costs that would really make a differentiation in the way that you're able to deliver on your business objectives. Then let's figure out together how to define what are the right use cases to go after. I encourage you to reach out to the AWS Marketplace team, whether here at the summit, or you can reach us offline through our portal on the website, and let us help you envision what your future can be by working together with us and our partners. Let's get started. So with that, I'm going to encourage you to extend your continued training and enablement journey with us here at the summit or offline. You can take advantage of some of these codes on the screen today to learn more. And again, thank you all so much for your attention and your time today, and we look forward to working with you.